Alright, welcome to Harp Lessons. So I just wanted to give you a little overview of what we are working on today and what I plan on teaching you. So we're just going to first go over what you know, just so I have an idea of where you're coming from, and then we're going to learn about the body of the harp and what every part means. And then we're going to talk about technique, how to sit at the harp, how to position our body, specifically our hand, and then we're going to try plucking a string, learning how to pluck a string.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I don't know much about music, but that sounds good.
Do you have any questions before we start?
No.
Okay. So how much do you know about the harp?
I know it's beautiful. Besides that, I know it's a string instrument similar to the piano. You know, it has pedals that can change the key that it is in, like sharp, flat, and normal, right?
Natural. Yep.
And natural. And you tune it. And that's it. That's all I know.
That's great. So you're right, the harp is set up just like the piano, and you know it's set up like C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So all the red strings are C's, and the black strings are F's, and then you just go up the scale. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Do you want to?
C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C?
Yeah.
Oh, so you end up back on the C at the red one. Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird how you start on C instead of A, but it gives you a little map of how you can navigate your way through the strings. And then, so currently, the harp is in flat. So it's kind of backwards from piano, how the pedals are up, and flat means you're going down, and sharp means you're going up. So, you know, on the piano, how you have the C.
The black key?
No,
this
middle C. You know where middle C is on the piano?
Mm-hmm.
And you know there's a black key right above that. That C is sharp, so you're going up. So with the harp, it's a little backwards in that sense, but you'll just learn over time. And but yeah, so when you're going up, you're going to sharp, and when you're moving the string to flat, it's moving down. If you want to think of the piano, that helps me. But for now, we're just going to play, you can play in just the key of C flat major, which is all flats.
Okay.
Which is similar to C, natural, in a sense.
So like the white keys?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is basically like the white key.
The white keys, we'll play in C natural. Do you want to put the pedals down on that side to the middle one? Yes. So now we're playing all on the white keys on the harp.
Okay.
So the different parts of the body, so we talked about the strings, we talked about the pedals. So the pedals run all the way through the column, and under here you can kind of look, and if you watch, you can see it moving, and then you see how it's moving the string from flat to natural. It's moving it up. And then this is the neck of the harp, this is the soundboard, backboard, and the sound comes through here actually. So if you put your ear close to it, you can hear. Pretty loud, huh? So yeah, that's the body of the harp and how the harp works. Do you have any questions? And we can also talk about the lever harp later, but today I wanted to just focus mostly on technique. So how to sit up the harp is very important because it affects the way the rest of your body will be positioned when you're playing the harp. And this is important because if you're not having a good body position and hand position, you can hurt your body. And when we're playing the harp, we don't want to cause pain. We just want to be able to play it painless. So first we're going to do, first thing you want to do when you come to sit at the harp is you want to make sure your feet are flat against the ground and your legs, your thighs are parallel to the floor. Do you feel like they're pretty parallel?
Yeah.
They look good. And then the next part is we're going to see, and we also sit with a flat back or straight back. Not too straight, but just like a natural, not stick straight with everything coming out, but a natural straight position.
Okay.
And then what you're going to do, we're going to find the right position of where the harp is supposed to lay on your shoulder. So, like I said, we want to create less pain as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to find, the harp has a balance to it. It actually naturally balances better on its back legs. And you can find this, if you just hold the harp and you try to find the balance of it.
So somewhere in that range.
Yeah, you see how it's kind of staying right there?
Yeah.
So that's where you want your shoulder to be. Is
So
right
do I want
here.
to scoot up or do I want to move the harp back?
We can move the harp back.
Okay.
Typically, you want to adjust the harp to you instead of moving the chair around because you're going to find a better position doing that.
Okay, that's pretty close.
Here, I think, because you're still kind of far back, let's try to move the harp back just a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, now let's practice the balance.
Pretty close.
See, watch how it'll lean one way versus the other.
Yeah.
Now I want you to do, you're sitting up straight.
Is it landing on?
It's going to land on your shoulder.
My shoulder.
But it's not supposed to feel like it's a lot of weight, if that makes sense. And one thing you can do too, if you wanted, you can place your knees, put your knees a little closer.
Oh, hold it.
And it should be able to hold it, yeah.
Okay.
So that if you feel like there's too much weight on your shoulder, or if you just want to...
Am I leaning too much to the side? Do I need to turn it? Like that?
Yeah, that works. That looks good. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, as harpists, we do tend to sit more to the left of the harp, or the harp is more to the right of us, if that makes sense. So yeah, that looks really good. Now, you can set the harp back down. We're going to talk about the rest of the body and how each part of the body is supposed to feel when we're at the harp. So we've got the legs, they're parallel to the floor, the feet are flat, and we've got our back, it's straight, but not too straight, but in a relaxed state. So the key is to be relaxed and not have a lot of tension. So the next part we're going to talk about is the arm and the hand and the wrist. And so the way this works is like the legs are supporting the back is supporting the shoulder is supporting the arm, and the arm is supporting the wrist and the hand. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it all works in one, and what I've noticed is if one of them is like not in the right position, like if your back is slumped, it's hard to have your arms in the right position because it's not having the correct support. Or if your arm isn't in the right position and giving the right support to the hand, then the hand is going to be in the wrong position, which is going to make it harder to play the harp.
Okay.
So when you play the harp, your elbows aren't going to be super like high up, but they're going to be just like in a relaxed state of just up a little. Yeah, just like this.
Okay.
And then the wrist, it's going to be just a little bit like this. We're not going to strain ourselves and go like this.
Okay.
And it's not going to, we don't want the wrist to pop this way. So nothing like this, but just a nice little curve to it. And then our hand is going to be kind of like, here, relax your arm.
Okay.
Just like
So
it's
done.
weightless, yeah.
Okay.
Dead arm. Okay. Do you feel how your hand is like heavy right here?
Uh-huh.
So that's where our hand wants to lay, is like this.
Yeah.
But we're actually going to turn it just a little bit, so when we're playing the strings on the harp, we're going to have, so yeah, weightless. then, okay, you can put a little bit more position back. And then we're going to just tip our wrist. So put your wrist in a little bit. Yeah, just like that. That's perfect. See how the soundboard is at this angle? That's kind of the angle we're looking for with our hands. Do you see how it's like parallel to that?
Okay.
Those knuckles.
Oh, like the top of the knuckles?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're not going to go completely like horizontal, vertical, or parallel to the column, but more parallel to the soundboard. So we're still having that weight here, and our knuckles are parallel to the soundboard, so that's going to keep our hand right here. So we have your wrist like this, but in a relaxed state. Your arm is up a little.
Okay.
Not too much. And then your knuckles are parallel to the soundboard.
Okay.
So that looks really good. Another way to think about it is like you're drinking a cup. You're not going to have the cup just straight like this, right?
Yeah.
When you're drinking, it's going to be a little bit tilted. So you can think of a cup in there, and you want the water not to fall out, so you don't want your hand going too much this way, but then you don't want it too straight because you're drinking from it.
Okay.
So now we're going to talk about where your fingers are. So your fingers, you can relax right now. Your fingers are going to come in to the palm like this. You're not going to curl them like so, but you're going to go like this. And they're going to be straight right here.
Okay.
And you're going to make sure too that it's not super tense when you're closing. So you're not holding in really tight, but it's just like a calm close. Yeah, that looks really good. That looks really good. And then your thumb, the thumb is a really tricky factor, and it takes some practice to get this, but our focus is to have this hole, this space in between the thumb and the fingers. So I kind of like to think of as if there's like a smiley face on this knuckle.
Uh-huh.
And so our thumb, we're going to make sure it's straight, but we have this rounded area. So relax your hand.
Okay.
Relax. Close your fingers. Just like that. Not super tense. Feels good. And then this is what it's going to look like.
Okay.
You're going to have this, do you see that space? And also one thing to remember is our thumb is also the form of it when we play. I don't know if you have hitchhiker's thumb. This is hitchhiker's thumb. You do.
I think I do.
So one thing you need to work on is it needs to be straight. So when we pluck the string with our thumb, we're not going to be like this.
Okay.
Because we're not going to get a good sound out of it. But it's going to be straight, and it's also going to have a little curve to it. So just make sure when you're working on your hand position, it's got this nice relaxed straight and a little bit of curve in the knuckle. Does all of this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any questions at this point?
I mean, I guess I would just have to practice it a bunch because I think I'll forget.
Yeah. And we're taking notes too.
Okay.
Okay, so back to the thumb. So fingers are going to close in like this. And we're going to have this open space right here in the thumb. Thumb is a little straight, and it's straight with a little bit of curve. Relax.
Okay.
Just like this. You see how you can feel my finger. Feel how relaxed it is.
Yeah.
See how I can keep it straight? Have a little. So the goal when we play is to not have tension, because if we have tension, it creates, it makes it harder to have control of when we play the strings. So, and then you're just going to close like this, right on the knuckle. And that's what it looks like.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, then more straight.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks really good. And you see how you're still keeping that space. It's because it can be tricky because it's our natural response is to go like this.
Yeah.
Can you feel the difference?
Yeah. Well, so I kind of put the bottom of my knuckle. It almost feels like on this part of my knuckle, right? Kind of.
It's like right there for me.
Oh, my thumb's really long, so maybe. Okay, yeah, that looks.
Yeah. And just yeah,
Okay.
that looks really good.
So kind of the middle of my finger, or the middle of my thumb to my knuckle.
Mhm. And just make sure your fingers are relaxed, closed. Yeah, that looks really good. Looks really good. How do you feel about that so far?
Yeah.
Do you want to practice with your right hand?
Yeah.
So.
Close. And then that.
Yeah.
Like that.
Relax your thumb. You're tense. Relax. Okay. And then, yeah, do that natural. So close. That looks really good. You're doing it really well. Okay. Now that we've learned all of that, let's try putting the heart to our shoulder.
I feel like I need to scoot over a little bit.
Okay.
That feels. Okay.
And now, check that your feet are flat, your thighs are parallel, your back is straight, but not too straight. Just that they're relaxed straight. And then check your shoulders. So our shoulders, I forgot to mention, they're not going to be up like this because you're not relaxed, right?
Yeah.
It's just kind of this tense kind of feeling. But you're just in this relaxed state. Your shoulders need to all obviously hold themselves, but you don't need to even put them back like that. Okay, and then where are our arms and elbows going to be?
Okay, so I know my knuckles need to be parallel to the soundboard, and then I need to kind of lift my elbow up a little bit, right?
Not too much, so yeah, that looks
How's
good.
that?
Yeah, and then what about our wrists? What are our wrists doing?
Yeah, wrist bends a little bit, but not too much. Like that.
So I would say just like this.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks really good. Okay, and then let me see your other arm too, together.
It's kind of hard to see that. Okay.
And then you can usually our left hand is going to play in this range.
Because you can reach a little bit further.
Yeah, and then our right hand is going to play in the higher octaves. But when you learn more advanced pieces, you'll be doing back and forth up the harp.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that later as we progress through our lessons. Yeah, we want that nice little angle with the wrist. And if something gets off, remember, like I said, if one of these things gets off, it's going to just, what's the word? Tumble to the next one, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so let's see your hand position. Can you do a closing position? Is this one closing?
Oh, no.
Yeah, that looks really good. Okay, great. Look how far you've come. How do you feel?
Good.
Does it feel awkward? Does it feel weird?
No, the harp feels really light because it's just kind of bouncing here.
Yeah, that's a good thing to practice. I forgot to mention.
And I think just getting used, I just have to not get out. I feel like I'll get out of this really easy and get lazy, but I just have to remember where it goes.
And as you practice this, it'll come easier and easier. It's just something this is a position as a harpist. And another thing to keep in mind is that we're always working on our technique. It's nothing that ever goes away. Sometimes when I go to my lessons, I'm still, I still get that, hey, your wrists are popping out, or hey, close your fingers when you play a string. So keep in mind, it's something we're always working on, and it's easy to forget, but it does become easier as we keep working on it.
Do your arms get tired from holding them up here so long? Or do you just kind of get used to that?
It should be you'll get used to it. It's something that if you're like straining them and putting it really high, it can be, it's going to be hard to keep them up there. But if you have it at that natural state where it's just like, I don't know, for me it's about a foot from my stomach, my elbow is. Yeah. And then it should just naturally...
Yeah, it doesn't feel bad.
Yeah. And then another thing... Okay, so now we're going to go into plucking a string. We're going to practice that. And one thing to mention is the range that we typically play in when we are plucking a string is just in the middle of the strings.
Okay.
And there's different, what's the word? There's different ways to get different sounds out of the harp that we'll play and learn later as you progress through your lessons, such as playing down here to get a different sound. Then you can kind of hear the sound, or playing higher, or anyway. But we're just sticking to the basics right now. But just so you know, in the future, and you can mess around with it too. I encourage you this week to just kind of mess around with the harp when you go to practice. That, you know, tap on the soundboard. That's another thing we do to get just different sounds out of the harp. Or there's like a vibrato.
Oh, like a guitar. What do they call it? Yeah.
It's pretty cool, huh? Yeah. So the harp can make different sounds. There's harmonics. Kind of hard to do at this angle, but yeah, there's just a lot of different sounds you can make with the harp. So you can mess around with that when you practice this week, and just careful with the harp.
Yeah.
Obviously. Okay, so how do you feel so far? Do you feel good about everything we've taught?
Yeah. I'll try plucking some strings.
Okay, great. Okay, so when we go to pluck a string, we are going to play in this part of our finger, just right there. I'll give you an example.
Okay, so I gotta get back in my position.
Yeah.
So am I just extending my fingers like that?
So actually, what we're going to do, what's important when you play the string, is to be centered. For example.
On the string?
On the string, but in our hem position.
Okay.
So if I extend my finger like this, I'm not going to be able to pluck it and have as much control. So when we go to pluck it, our fingers are actually, you see how my hand is still in that parallel position to the soundboard, and my thumb is up, got my space here, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm actually going to have, you know how that little curve in my thumb we talked about?
Yeah.
We're going to have that little curve in our finger.
Okay.
So to check that we're centered, for example, I'm going to put my thumb on this string, just to rest it. I'm not going to pluck it, but I'm going to make sure that the center of my palm is in center of these strings. So what you can do...
strings between my thumb and my finger?
Mm-hmm. So get your other finger from your right hand, and I want you to poke through the strings on my hand.
Oh, on your hand.
And try to find my palm.
There it is.
There. So, and it's a little bit hard. I have to get kind of close. But you see how my hand, how I'm keeping that space. I'm keeping my fingers up because I'm letting you touch the center of my palm. But my fingers have that curve. This one that's on the string. My thumb has that curve. I have this space. My wrist has still got that curve. And I'm parallel with the soundboard. Keeping that like cup as if I'm drinking, right?
Yeah.
So that's how we check. And you can do that when you're just plucking one string. Because it's like my thumb is right here. So I'm going to try to be centered with the D. So when you go to play a string, your finger position, remember we're going to play right in this area. So right there.
Okay.
And we're going to keep that space. Check your arm position, wrist position. Okay, and then if we're not playing, another rule to think about, when we're not playing the other strings, or with our other fingers, we're going to keep them closed.
Okay.
So if they're dangling out here, we don't have as much control over them. Sometimes I like to think of this as when we go to pluck a string, and we're going to bring our fingers back into our palm. It's called closing. So opening and closing. And that is like a reset to our fingers, like, okay, we played that string, we're ready for the next part. So I want you, let's do the middle C, okay? And then we're going to just curve our finger a little bit. You can just rest or keep your thumb out. Okay. Make sure you have that curve that knuckle right there.
Oh, that, okay.
And then bring it in. So make sure you're bringing it all the way back into your palm. Make sure your thumb's not too straight. You got this space because before this is what I was seeing.
Okay.
And this is what I want to see.
Okay.
Looks good. Make sure. Yeah, that was. Did you hear the sound difference? And then try doing like this, like what you were thinking before. See, it's still good. You're keeping a pretty good hand position actually, just in a different way. You just moved your hand this way, but we want to. Okay, make sure your fingers close all the way.
So this one stays.
So this is what happened. You just went like this.
Okay.
And I want you to come all the way in and close your thumb too. Okay, now just to practice away from the harp, I want you to practice opening and closing. Try with the other hand too. Same time. So this is what I really want you to focus on this week, because like I said, harpists, even at this level, they still have to pay attention to themselves if they're closing or not, and if they're doing it in a relaxed way.
Yeah.
Because it can be easy, especially at the beginning, because it's not. I feel like when I was learning the harp, I would tended to want to do this with my hands when I closed, because I feel like that's what we just generally do when we close our hands. But I want you to really just practice being relaxed and doing that. You can do this like at any time of the day. You don't even need to be by the harp. Just practicing closing and opening. Okay, now let's try plucking a string again, just to keep that in mind. Your hand position. And I want your hand, instead of your finger being like this, I want it to be down.
Okay.
So not too far down. So do you see what's out of whack? See how your wrist and your elbow weren't in the right position, and it caused your whole hand position to get a little wacky, which is okay. But just like I was telling you before, if one thing goes out of place, it causes the hand position to go out of place. So I want, see how my finger is going down?
Yeah.
And it's still lining up with the rest of my fingers. Here,
Yeah.
I'll go lower so you can kind of see that. So what you're lifting to compromise, you're going like this, and to compromise you're doing this. So I want you to go back to your hand position, just without touching the string. Go back to your hand position. Okay, now I'm just going to place it on the string for you. So the reason what changed is we centered our hand, so that way you didn't have to compromise your finger. We centered our hand to the string, so if we're centering on one string, we're just getting the center of our palm with the center of the one string. And that caused your finger to line up better with the rest of your fingers, right? And keeping that your knuckles parallel to the soundboard, and keeping that space open. That looks really good. And then now what I want you to do is just center, or give it a little roundness to this first knuckle, or on your finger. It's gonna feel weird because you're touching the next string, but it's okay.
Okay.
Okay, a little bit. Relax a little bit more. Keep that weight heavy more right here, right? As if we're, Okay. Now round your knuckle a little bit, just like this.
Okay.
Good job. Okay, so I just want to practice your right hand a little bit, and then we just need to conclude our lesson and just review what we've gone over. So how about you show me your position for your arm, elbow, wrist, and hand. Practice closing a couple times. Looks really good. Okay, now I want you to come to this middle C again. Okay, what are you checking for when you come up to the harp?
So I need to be centered, and I need my finger to be kind of angled down, and my knuckles parallel to the soundboard. Just looking at then up here. And close my fingers
In a relaxed state.
in a relaxed state. And then curve this finger a little bit.
Make sure you're relaxed before you go and play it. So we don't need any tension, and our tension can be good, but as long as we're using it in the right way, right?
Okay.
It's like stress, having healthy stress to help you get things done, right? So when we go to pluck a string, it just needs to be relaxed until we go to pluck it. So my hand is relaxed, and then once I go to pluck it, that's when I put a little tension in. Well, it sounded really good. Yeah. Check your thumb. Yeah! That was great.
You got it?
Yeah. Good job. Okay, so how do you feel about that?
Good. I need a lot more practice to get used to it, but yeah, I feel like I can pick it up.
Good. Okay, so let's just review what we talked about today.
Okay.
We talked about the basic parts